Hey guys, welcome back to Buzzer to Buzzer. NBA playoffs have begun, and we've reacted to the first round and the first couple of games of the NBA bubble as well. If you want to check them out, they'll be linked in the top right-hand corner with the card. But anyways, the first round has almost finished, with two more teams going head-to-head, that being a pretty good matchup, along with the second round initiating for other teams like the Bucks and the Heat. Now, all while these playoffs have begun, the NBA recently announced that they would be giving out NBA awards throughout these playoffs. So far, they've awarded awards for Head Coach of the Year, that being Nick Nurse of the Toronto Raptors. They've given out Defensive Player of the Year, that going to Giannis Antetokounmpo. And recently tonight, they revealed the Most Improved Player, that being Brandon Ingram. However, there's still two very important and arguably the most important awards being left to be distributed. That being the Most Valuable Player and the Rookie of the Year. Now, firstly, today we're going to get started off by talking about our picks for Rookie of the Year and MVP. So without any further ado, let's get to it. All right, guys. So firstly, we're going to start off with the Rookie of the Year award. Now, this has been an award which at the beginning of the season was pretty undisputed. There was Ja Morant, who was putting on quite the spectacle with the Memphis Grizzlies. However, then came Zion Williamson into the conversation. Now, the main argument which has been going on is that Zion did not play that many games. I believe it was just around some 20 games which he played. However, to a point to be taken is that in those 20 games, he truly did go off and showcase that he is potentially a face of the future, which we all know. Now, the question comes down to, are we looking at longevity and looking at Ja Morant, who has performed the whole season, or are we going to look at Zion Williamson, who came in for a little bit but performed really well? So, without any further ado, guys, let's talk about it. Who do we got for our Rookie of the Year picks?
Personally, I still think the argument is undisputed, and that award goes to Ja Morant. As you said, he played the entire season, and I think he's like the best option because you have to judge their whole season. And with Zion Williamson missing so many games and still performing well for the games he played, I don't think that he was. You can see like his whole game in that few games, and I think Ja Morant played a lot better in the games that he played.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree with the B. This award is definitely undisputed. Remember, it's Rookie of the Year, not Rookie of 20 games. We have to give the award to Ja Morant. I mean, he's put up a phenomenal season for a rookie, almost leading the Memphis Grizzlies to the playoffs. He definitely deserves the Rookie of the Year award.
That's exactly the point I was going to make. One team didn't even come close to the playoffs. The other team was one game from the playoffs, and that was because of Ja Morant. And so I think it's obvious. He played the whole season, like they said. So I think it has to go to Ja Morant.
Yeah, for sure. And, if taking everything into account, I think that the success which Ja Morant had over the season definitely outtrumps what Zion Williamson was able to do. For sure, I feel like he's for sure going to win multiple MVPs down his career. But this year, just because of his injury and taking a look at what Ja Morant did, we all agree. And we're all welcoming Ja Morant for Rookie of the Year. However, then there is the Most Valuable Player of the Year award, a.k.a. the MVP. Now, this award, unlike Ja Morant and Zion Williamson, has been going on between Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks, who has had a stellar season, against the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, LeBron James, who has also performed at a heck of a rate for being 35 years old. You guessed it. So, without any further ado, Ari, I'm going to start off with you. Who do you got? Do you got Giannis, LeBron, or are you bringing a dark horse? What do you got here?
I think since it's the regular season, you got to go with Giannis. I think he's the king of putting up the high stats in the regular season. He gets the rebounds, he gets the dunks, he gets the assists, he gets the points. Obviously, you look at he basically beats out LeBron in almost every statistical category except assists. So I think just because by the nature of the award, you got to give it to Giannis.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you, Aaron. Regardless of how the Bucks perform through the playoffs, MVP is a regular season award. You have to give the award based off a player who had the best performance during the regular season, and that title definitely goes to Giannis, in my opinion. As you said, insane numbers, best record with the Bucks, and he doesn't have a superstar like Anthony Davis or Paul George to help him out. So yeah, definitely Giannis Antetokounmpo deserves the award.
All right. And you said nature of the award. And I have two answers to this question. Who deserves MVP and who's going to win MVP?
Yes.
Giannis Antetokounmpo undoubtedly deserves the MVP award. But this season, like any other sport, the MVP award is always tied to a narrative. And LeBron James perfectly fits that narrative this season, not making the playoffs last year, injury-ridden season, comes back and puts up MVP numbers. They're going to give the award to him even when Giannis Antetokounmpo deserves it.
100% agree with you, Harsh, word for word. You know, Arian, to your point, although Giannis Antetokounmpo did have better stats in other categories, at the end of the day, I'm looking at, okay, LeBron had more assists, sure. But at the overall value which LeBron James brings to the Lakers, I mean, looking, as Harsh mentioned, that narrative, bringing a team to the playoffs after 8 years, after, you know, the late Kobe Bryant helped them achieve those playoffs and made a deep run, bringing them to the playoffs while averaging 25-plus points with another superstar, Anthony Davis. And this, remember, is happening in the West. Now, there were a bunch of people when he was playing with Cleveland, Miami in the East, they used to say, hey, okay, I want to see him duplicate that success and do it in the West. Well, he's doing it in the West now, putting up MVP numbers in his 17th season. Now, sure, okay, I don't want to say that just because he's in his 17th season, the award should go to him. But I'm going to say that the value he has brought to the Lakers and that overall narrative, I think it fits perfectly. And he's going to win his 5th MVP award.
Okay, let's not get it confused here. I'm not saying he deserves the award because of his narrative. I'm saying he's going to win the award because of the narrative. Regardless of what the narrative says, I feel like in all major sports, it takes too much of a priority when it comes to who wins the MVP award. And I think still Giannis should win it, but LeBron's going to get it.
Actually, Harsh, I could even say that because Giannis won Defensive Player of the Year, I think that could add his stock value, and people can be like, oh, if Giannis wins MVP, he's going to be like one only player out of 3 players with Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon to win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in one season. And I think like that just like gives him a higher chance and a better chance to win MVP. So I think the narrative could actually go to Giannis, and I think he's going to win MVP for sure.
Well, to say the least, it is for sure a close battle. Whoever wins is obviously deserving. I mean, at the end of the day, sure, I like LeBron, but if Giannis wins it, they're both super deserving, and the value which both of them have brought is substantial. Anyways, well, let's move on to our next segment for this episode, that being the reacting to the bubble. All right, guys. Well, firstly, we're going to be talking about the first round series, which still has to finish, that obviously being the Game 7 between the Denver Nuggets being led by Jamal Murray and the Utah Jazz being led by Donovan Mitchell. Now, guys, this is for sure looking to shape like one of the future rivalries of the NBA, with both Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell both putting up 2 50-piece games throughout this series. Now, tomorrow at 8 p.m., we are going to see who will advance out of these two teams. You know, Utah did hold the 3-1 lead, but the Nuggets are pulling a 2016 type Cavs comeback out here, coming back from 3-1 to tie the series 3-3. Now, what do we think is going to happen? Is Utah going to pull away, or is Denver going to move on to the second round?
I think Denver. Yeah, I think Denver easily wins Game 7. Okay, first of all, you have to start off. They have all the momentum. You remember the Cavs back in 2016? They had all the momentum going into Game 7. As with the bubble, there's no home or away game, so there's no pressure from that side of that perspective. And lastly, I mean, you just look at Jamal Murray, man. He can't miss from 3. He can't miss from mid range. He doesn't even miss free throws. I mean, he's looking like Jesus Christ out here. Like he's unstoppable, unguardable. You could say the same for Donovan Mitchell, but I just think because of the extra firepower that Jokic provides, that Michael Porter provides, I think the Denver just has more talent and wins the game.
Okay, I'm gonna have to agree with you, Arian, in saying that the Nuggets are gonna take Game 7. Jamal Murray is just an incredible player right now, and I think that they have like the momentum, as Arian was saying, and even Nikola Jokic. Even though I don't think he's been the best player on that team, I think that title goes to Jamal Murray. I still think that he's a great player, and he just provides value. And I don't think that Donovan Mitchell can do it all for the Jazz tomorrow, and the Nuggets are going to take Game 7.
Yeah. So in the previous video, I said Jazz in 5. Even though the Nuggets have all the momentum, all the wins in the past 2 games, like Stephen A. Smith said about the Heat, I got an eerie feeling about this Jazz team. I don't know. There's something about them that says they're not going to lose this. Yeah, sure, they've dropped the last two, but something about Donovan Mitchell's fire, something about Rudy Gobert's intensity tells me that they're not going to lose this series after being up 3-1, which is why I have to give to the Jazz.
Yeah, I also said I'd be like you that this would go in a 7 series. I believe I said the Nuggets, but I think regardless of the momentum which they have right now, Jamal Murray has to find some support from somebody else. Now, I'm not saying that this game is not going to be close. In my opinion, I think it's going to be an overtime game, and it's going to be a game winner, which decides the game. It's going to be quite the game for sure. But I feel like at the end of the day, we saw Donovan Mitchell leaving, hitting those chairs out of the way. He's mad. He has a fire lit inside of him. And I feel like when he has that fire, he does remarkable things. And I feel like that, to Jamal Murray's credit, I feel like they're both going to drop 40-plus again. It's going to be a duel till the end, but I feel like the Jazz will pull away late, and they will be playing the Lakers in the second round. All right, guys. Well, let's move on to now a second round series, that being the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Miami Heat. Now, today is Monday, August 31st, and the game one has already elapsed with the Heat beating the Bucks, meaning the Heat currently hold a 1-0 lead, guys. What is it looking like? Are we really thinking that Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, these boys, can they stop Giannis Antetokounmpo and just show that the Bucks are a regular season team? What do we think?
No shot.
Jimmy G. Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't think so. Looking at the last series, the Bucks also lost the first game. And I know that the Heat are a lot better of a team than the Magic. But I just think that Giannis is just going to perform a lot better second game. He put, not great numbers for him. 19 points, almost, I think, 17 rebounds, 9 assists. And those are good numbers for any other, a lot of other players. But for him, I think he should average in the 30s. And I think that for the Bucks to win, he has to have a great performance, in which he will. As you saw last series against the Magic, he got almost 30 points every single game. And I don't think that the Heat can pull this off again. I don't think that Jimmy Butler can score 40 points again. I don't think he's that good of a scorer. He's a great player, but he's not going to score 40 every game because he's also a defensive player. So I think the Bucks are going to take the win in the next couple games.
Yeah, I think Heat win in 7. I think I'm calling the upset here. In the regular season, the Heat beat the Bucks the 2 times they played. The Heat went 2-0, and they didn't even need Jimmy Butler to score. He scored 20 and something the other game, both those games. So I don't think he needs to be a scorer for them to win. I just think he needs some support. They've probably played the best defense on Giannis this whole entire whole bubble thing. Ever since the season started. Okay, wait, let me restart that.
The entire bubble, the entire whole bubble thing.
Okay. I'm calling the upset here, and I'm going to say Heat win in 7. You look at the regular season, the Heat went 2-0, and I know B said that Jimmy Butler is going to be required to score 40 plus. I don't think that's the case. And also, you look at the Heat. I mean, ever since the whole bubble started, the Heat have played the best defense on the Bucks, and I think they're the most capable of just because of their length and size. And so I think if Jimmy Butler can just keep consistently scoring 20 plus, I think he can win 7.
Jimmy G buckets. The G stands for gets. You know what else he gets? Wins. He's here on a business trip, Heat in 6.
Couldn't agree even more. Harsh and Ari, totally agree. I feel like that the Heat, looking overall as a team, the Heat are, I feel like, more well-rounded. They got multiple people who can put on a show every night. This is something I would say against the Lakers as well. They got stars who can perform, but they always need one person to show up. But in the case of the Heat, they have people who do show up every night, whether it be Tyler Hero, whether it be Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, for instance. I feel like they will always have people who are going to put on a show, and I think it's going to over-trump the success of Giannis always having to carry and Chris Middleton's inconsistency. I feel like the Heat will win in 6 games.
I just want to also address Arian's argument that you're saying the Heat don't need Jimmy Butler to score 40 points. However, if you look at the team and see how many points each player scored, the only player who had a great performance was Jimmy Butler, obviously, and Goran Dragic. Everyone else had around 10, 11 points. Tyler Hero did subpar. Same thing with Bam Adebayo. And I just think that Jimmy Butler's not going to score the same amount again. And I don't think that if he can't do it again, the Heat are definitely not going to beat the Bucks.
Right, but also on the other side of the coin, you got to look at. I don't think Tyler Hero is going to perform this bad again. I don't think Bam Adebayo is going to have this bad of a game again this series. So I think this game, Jimmy Butler covered for their mistakes, but I definitely expect a more well-rounded team effort in the next couple of games.
All right, and the last series which we will be talking about today is going to be about the Boston Celtics versus the Toronto Raptors in the second round of the East semis. Now, guys, game one is already elapsed, and Boston did win by a margin, I believe, of 15 points against the Raptors, with Jason Tatum coming out putting up around 30 points. But the Raptors, they have shown in the past series and throughout these bubble games and throughout the whole season that they are still a heck of a team even without Kawhi Leonard. So what are we feeling here? Do we feel like that this will be an intense series, going possibly 7? Who will win?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't really think it's gonna go to 7. I'm gonna go with the Celtics actually in 6. And I think the Celtics are just performing like how they should be performing. Like every player is just playing their best basketball, and I think that if they played the same way during the regular season, they would be seated a lot higher. But I would say that the Celtics just have players who can perform every single night, and there's not really any inconsistent players, unlike the Raptors, as I can see with the first game. Pascal Siakam didn't perform. Fred VanVleet didn't perform well. Just like the key players who they need to perform didn't do as great. And if this happens, I think that the Celtics are just going to win in 6.
Yeah, the intensity of playoff basketball is just too much. Yeah, they won the championship last year, but they lost their leader since then, right? Kawhi Leonard's gone. And this is a Celtics team who has gone to the playoffs every year since the start of their young careers. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, right? They've been there many times. They know what the stage is like. They know the intensity. This isn't first round playoff basketball. This is the second round, and I think the Celtics take it in 6, like Abi said.
Now, I got the Raptors winning in 7 here. I think you look at the last game, the Raptors underperformed immensely. No player on their team scored above 20 points. There's no way that's happening again. And I don't think Jason Tatum's going to have the luxury of getting that many open shots again either. I think they just had a complete lack of just focus in the first game. I think Raptors come back and take the next one, but I do think the Raptors win in 7.
All right. Yeah, so to Harsh's point, I think that the Celtics will perform a gentleman's sweep and beat the Raptors 4-1. Now, I'm going to give the Raptors a 1-game win, but that's simply because Celtics might not show up one night. And it's simply due to the fact that the Boston Celtics were one LeBron James amazing game away from making the NBA Finals. Now, that game 7, the Celtics that was 2 or 3 years ago. Now, Jason Tatum was younger, obviously. All these young guys, they were much younger, and they almost made the finals. But the greatness of LeBron James and those final 2 minutes, the show he put on, obviously they could not get through them. But this time, they're not playing a LeBron James-led team. They're playing a team of the Toronto Raptors led by Pascal Siakam. Now, sure, Pascal Siakam has proven to be a really good player now, for sure the leader of the Toronto Raptors after the departure of Kawhi Leonard. But I feel like the Celtics, like the Heat, they have people who can turn it on every night, whether it be Kemba Walker, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. They can always find one dude who will come out and shoot lights out or have a good game, putting up 20-plus points. And I feel like that if anything, one person will always put up 20 and the rest will put up 10 something, which is why the Celtics will advance to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, I'd also like to add on to what Orion said, how the Raptors did underperform. I think the series is really interesting because the teams are matched up player to player. I mean, you have Kemba Walker to Kyle Lowry. You have Jason Tatum to Pascal Siakam. You have Fred VanVleet to Jaylen Brown. You got Serge Ibaka to Gordon Hayward, right? These two teams are matched up perfectly. And I think a lot of it comes down to, do the Raptors perform? This is the Raptors series to win. And if they perform, they win the series. If they don't perform, they lose the series. So I think the Celtics really just got to go out there and play their game. It's up to the Raptors if they want the series or not.
All right, guys. For sure, these playoffs are like none other, with many amazing matchups. Not something we see quite frank in any sport. With postseason playoffs especially, we always have that one favorite team. But like the NFL, these NBA playoffs are for sure one for the ages, with amazing matchups for sure. And we hope that you guys will be continuing to watch. As always, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment down who you believe will be advancing onto the conference finals for the East and the West. And we hope that you guys take care, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.